To deliver the official welcome address, I cordially invite Dr. W.R.T. Wickramachi, President of SLIAg and the Director General of Agriculture. Over to you, sir.
සුබදහවලක් සියලුම දෙනාට ගරු කුෂිකර්ම ඇමතුමා ගරු ලාල්කාන්ත ඇමතුමනි ගරු නාමල් කරුණාරත්න නියෝජ්‍ය ඇමතිතුමනි අද දින අපි 6 වෙනි වාර්ෂික සමුළුව ශ්‍රී ලංකා කුෂිකර්ම ආයතනයේ මේක ඇත්තෙන්ම අපේ ඉනොග්‍රේෂන් සෙෂන් එක වුණාට අපි හැමදාම මේකෙදි තාක්ෂණික සැසියක් පවත්වනවා. ඒකට තමයි අපි මේ අද ඉඳගෙන ඉන්නේ. අපි මේ තිත්වා සුලිකුණාටුවෙන් පසුව ඇත්තටම අපි මේක තියාගෙන තිබ්බේ කලින් වෙනම අපි ඔය GM genetically modified crops ගැන කතා කරමු. drone ගැන කතා කරමු කියලා හිටියේ. නමුත් අපේ GC members ලා තීරණය කරා මේක රටට පණිවිඩයක් දෙන්න ඕනේ. අපි මේ ගැන කතා කළ යුතුයි කියලා. aftermath of Ita cyclone. මොකද්ද අපිට වුණු විශ්ලේෂණය මේ cyclone එකේ පස්සේ සහ අපි කොහොමද ඒකට මුහුණ දෙන්නේ? අපි මොකක්ද ඉදිරි වැඩපිළිවෙල? මේ පිළිබඳව තමයි අපි මෙතෙන්ට රැස් වෙලා ඉන්නේ. එතකොට මෙතන ඇත්තටම ඉන්නේ අපේ වෘත්තිකයින් කුෂිකර්මයට සම්බන්ධ. කුෂිකර්මය කියන්නේ ලොකු පළල් ක්ෂේත්‍රයක්. අපි භෝග ගන්නවා ඊට පස්සේ මේකේ එහා පැත්තට ගිහිල්ලා අපි භෝග වර්ග ගණනාවක් තියෙනවා. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් අපි කුෂිකර්ම දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට අයත් වෙන්නේ අපි ආහාරයට ගන්න භෝග ටික අයිති වෙනවා අපට. එයින් එහාට පස්සේ ගිහින් මෙතන ඉන්න කලින් DG-ලා spices crops ටික අයිති වෙනවා. forestry අයිති වෙනවා. වනවගාව අයිති වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ livestock කුල් පාලනය fisheries. නමුත් අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මෙතන ඉන්න වෘත්තිකයන් සියලු ශේෂ්ත්‍රයන් හා බැඳෙනවා සහ ඊට එහා ගිහිල්ලා අපේ වෘත්තිකයන් ගොඩාක් private industry එකේ පෞද්ගලික සහ වෙනත් development partners FAO ඊට පස්සේ World Bank මේ වගේ තැන්වල වැඩ කරනවා සහ එයින් එහාට ගිහිල්ලා ගොඩ දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා විදේශීය රටවල සේවය කරන මේ සියලු දෙනාම එකතු කරන අපේ තියෙන මේ අධ්‍යාපන බෑග්ග්‍රවුන්ඩ් එකකින් එහාට ගිහිල්ලා මෙයාලේ වෘත්තියක් විදිහට කුෂිකර්මාන්ති නීලලා ඉන්න සියලු දෙනා වැඩ කරන අපේ ඉන්ස්ටිටියුට් එකක් විදිහට තමයි මේක තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට අද දින මෙතෙන්ට පැමිණලා ඉන්න සියලු දෙනාම මෙතන ඉන්න අපේ 21ක් පමණ වන සියලු ශේෂ්ත්‍රයන් නියෝජනය කරමින් අපේ GC members-ලා ඉන්නවා. එතකොට මේ අය නිතිපතා මාස්පතා එකතු වෙලා මේ රටේ තියෙන ප්‍රවණතාවයන් policy requirements ගොඩක් ගැන කතා කරනවා. මම හිතන්නේ අපේ ඇමතිතුමාට මේකෙදී අපි කීප වතාවක් ඇවිදින් මොන ගහලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අදාළ මේ වාර්තා දීලා තියෙනවා. ඔබතුමාට ස්තුතියි. සමහර ඒවා ඔබතුමා ක්‍රියාවට නංවලා තියෙනවා. ඒකට ඇත්තටම අපි ඔය කමිටු වලදීත් ඒ පිළිබඳව අපි ඔෆිෂියලි ඔබතුමාට අපි ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට අද මේ annual general meeting එකේදී අපි මෙතන ඉන්න අපේ වෘත්තිකයන් ඇවිදලා ඉන්නේ රට පුරාම ඇවිදලා ඉන්නවා. නමුත් මම හිතන්නේ පොඩි අඩුවක් දකින්නේ අපි මේ තිබ්බ අහිතකර වාතාවරණ තත්ත්වයක් එක්ක. නමුත් අපි හිතුවට වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් මෙතෙන්ට ඇවිදලා ඉන්නවා. ඒ නිසා මේ සියලුම දෙනා අද දිනේ අපි පිළිගන්නවා මේකට විශේෂයෙන් ස්තුතියක් කරනවා. ඇමතිතුමා මේකට දින දුන්නා. අපි ඇමතිතුමාගේ දින සමහර වෙලාවට මෙයා වෙනකොට අපි ඇත්තටම ඒකට විශේෂත්වයක් කරනවා අපේ GC members-ලාට. එතකොට අපේ GC members-ලා එක හඬින් හිටියා ඇමතිතුමාව අපි ගෙන්න ගන්න ඕනි කියන එක. ඇමතිතුමාව ගෙන්න ගන්න ඕනෙම කියලා අපි දිනවකවානු මාසයක් එකමාරක් පස්සට දැම්ම අපි AGM එක තියෙන දිනේ. එතකොට අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් සැප්තැම්බර් ඔක්තෝබර් වෙදි තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ දිනවකවානු අපි පල්ලෙහාට දැම්ම ඔබතුමා ගෙන්නවා ගැනීමේ උවමනාවටම හේතුව තමයි ඔබතුමාගේත් විශේෂ උනන්දුවක් තියෙනවා. අපි ගිහිල්ලා ඔබතුමාත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරා. ඒ සාකච්ඡා කරන හැම වෙලාවෙම ඔබතුමා කිව්ව ඒක ගොඩාක් ධනාත්මකව ගත්ත අපේ කුෂිකර්මය විද්‍යාවත් එක්ක බැඳුණු විෂයක්. මේ සඳහා අපේ වෘත්තිකයන් එකට එකතු වෙ යුතුයි කියන එක හැමදාමත් ඔබතුමා අපි සාකච්ඡාවලදී මතක් කරන දෙයක් තමයි. මේකට අපි වෘත්තිමය ගතියක් දෙන්න ඕන කුෂිකර්මය අපි සාම්ප්‍රදායික කුෂිකර්මයෙන් එහාට යන්න ඕන කියන දේ පිළිගන්නවා ඔබතුමත් අපේ නියෝජ්‍ය ඇමතුමත් සියලු දෙනා කියන්නේ. ඒකට විශේෂ ස්තුතියක් ඇත්තට විශේෂ ස්තුතියක් නෙවෙයි විශේෂ පිළිගැනීමක් අද අපි කරන්න ඕනේ. අපි මෙතන පුටු කිහිපයක් තියලා තියෙනවා මේ අපේ මේ සයික්ලෝන් එක ගම් වතුර මේ අහිතකර අපේ තත්ත්වයට මත අපට මොකක්ද වුනේ කොහෙද අපි ඉන්නේ කියන එක සාකච්ඡා කරන්න අද අපි ගෙන්නලා තියෙනවා ධම්මික රණතුංග මහත්මයා කමිෂනර් ජෙනරාල් එතුමා මේකට පිළිගත් එකත් ලොකු දෙයක් අපිට ලොකු ආඩම්බරයක් ඔබතුමා ළඟදිම මේකට ආවා නමුත් අපි දකිනවා ඔබතුමාට ලොකු හයියක් නිපුණත්වයක් තියෙනවා මේ ෆිෂරිස් නම් ආවේ නමුත් ක්‍රොප්ස් ගැන ලොකුවට හොඳටම කරනවා අපිට වැටහෙනවා ඒත් එක්කම අපි ආරාධනා කරා අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජෙනරාල් සත්ත්ව සෞඛ්‍ය දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ එතුමා වෙනුවෙන් එතුමාට ඇත්තටම අද සාක් රැස්වීමක් තියෙනවා කිව්වා කොළඹ ඒකට එතුමා යා යුතුමයි එතුමා තමයි චෙයා කරන්න ඕනේ ඒ වෙනුවට අපේ අතිරේක අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජෙනරාල්තුමා ඩොක්ටර් සන්දික අද පැවිදිලා ඉන්නවා එතකොට අපට ඉරිගේෂන් එකෙන් ඉරිගේෂන් එතුමාට අපි කතා කරපුවාම එතුමා අර වැව් කැඩිලා හදන තැන මේ වෙද්දි ඉන්නේ එතුමාට ඊයේ අදයි අද එන්න අමාරුයි කියලා එතුමා අපේ නුවර ඉන්න අධ්‍යක්ෂකතුමියව අපිට මේවා කරා එතුමිය ඒ වෙලාවෙම අපට කතා කරලා මොකද්ද විය යුත්තේ කියලා ඔබතුමියත් අපි ඉතාම ගෞරවයෙන් මෙතෙන්ට පිළිගන්නවා. ඒතර මම හිතන්නේ අද අපට ලොකු මේ කතිකාවක් මෙතන ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන් විශේෂයෙන් අපිට මොඩරේටර් විදියෙන් හැමදාමත් අපිට සහාය වෙනවා සහ මම හිතන්නේ ලංකාවේ ඉන්න හොඳම මොඩරේටර් වෙන්න ඇති කොළඹ නුවර කළුතර ගාල්ල හැමතැනම පෙනී සිටින අපේ මහාචාර්ය බුද්ධිමාරමේ මහත්මයාත් අද මෙතන ඉන්නවා එතුමාත් පිළිගන්නවා සහ අපි ඇත්තටම මෙතන ඉන්නවා අපේ වීරසිංහමයා අපේ කලින් හිටපු ඩිරෙක්ටර්ස්ලා අපට ආඩම්බරයක් දකිනකොට එතකොට එතුමාලාගෙන් තමයි අපි ගුරුහරුකම් ගත්තේ දවස්වල එතකොට මෙතන අපේ පහුගිය ඩීජී මහතුරුන් ඉන්නවා අදටත් එතුමාලා අපට ගුරුහරුකම් දෙනවා විකි මෙහෙමයි මේක මෙහෙම විය යුතුයි කියන එක එතකොට මෙතන ඉන්නේ අපේම සහෝදර වෘත්තිකයන් රිටයර් වෙනත් මේ වෘත්තියේ නියැලිලා ඉන්න ගුරුහරුකම් දෙන සියලු දෙනාම මෙතෙන්ට පිළිගන්නවා සහ අපට පේනවා මේකේ අනාගතය හොඳ වෙයි අපේ තරුණ වෘත්තිකයන් රාශියක් පිටිපස්සේ ආසනවල ඉන්නවා විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ප්‍රජාව ඉන්නවා එතකොට මේ සියලු දෙනාම මේකට අපි පිළිගන්නවා ඒ නිසා මෙතන අපි කවුද විශේෂයක් මිස්ටර් අතවුද ජයවර්ධන අපි පුංචි කාලේ ඉගෙන ගන්න කාලේ ඉඳන්ම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රියේ හිටියා ඉඳලා අදටත් අපේ කුෂි කර්මාන්තයත් එක්ක ගැටිලා වැඩ කරනවා ඒ නිසා සියලු දෙනාම පිළිගන්නවා ඔබතුමාත් ඇත්තටම මේ තව වැඩ රාශියක් තියෙන දවසක අපිත් එක්ක පැමිණීම පිළිබඳව විශේෂ ස්තුතියක් කරනවා සියලු දෙනාම අපේ අද තියෙන මේ 6 වෙනි වාර්ෂික සමුළුවට සහ ඒහා බැඳුණු මෙන්න මේ අපේ තාක්ෂණික සැසියට පිළිගන්නවා.
බොහොමත්ම ස්තුතියි අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජනරාල්තුමනි. මීළඟට අප යමු වන්නේ කෘෂිකර්ම හා පශු සම්පත් නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යතුමන්ගේ අදහස් දැක්වීමටයි. ඒ සඳහා මා ඉතාමත් ගෞරවයෙන් ඇරයුම් කරනවා ගරු කෘෂිකර්ම හා පශු සම්පත් නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍ය නාමල් කරුණාරත්න මහත්මයාට. With great honor, I would like to invite Honorable Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Livestock, Mr. Namal Karunaratne.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි. අද මේ අවස්ථාවට සම්බන්ධ වන අපේ අමාත්‍ය කේඩිලාල් කාන්ත මැතිතුමා කෘෂි කර්මාධ්‍යක්ෂ ජනරාල්තුමා ගෝජන සේවා කොමසාරිස්තුමා කොමසාරි ජනරාල්තුමා මහාචාර්ය බුද්ධිමාරමේ මැතිතුමායිතුළු මේ අවස්ථාවට සම්බන්ධ වන සම්භාවනීය සභාවෙන් අවසර රටම විශාල ආපදාවකට ලක්වෙච්ච අවස්ථාවක විශාල පිරිසක් අපේ අතරින් සමුගත්තු වෙලාවක සමහර අයගේ මල කඳන් හොයාගන්න බැරුව එහෙම පිටින්ම මහ පොළොවට ඒ ස්ථානවලම මිහිදම් වෙච්ච වෙලාවක නිවාස කැඩිලා විශාල විනාශයක් වෙච්ච අවස්ථාවක කුෂිකර්මාන්ත පැත්තෙන් ගත්තාම ගොවිබිම් වලට විශාලම හානියක් වෙච්ච වෙලාවක ඉදිරියේදී ආහාර පිළිබඳ ප්‍රශ්නය බරපතල ලෙස සාකච්ඡාවට බඳුන් කරගන්න ඕන අවස්ථාවක තමයි අද මේ සභාව රැස්වෙන්නේ. කෘෂි ක්ෂේත්‍රයට අයත් විද්වතුන් විශාල පිරිසක් මෙතන ඉන්නවා. වැඩ කරලා මේ වෙනකොට විශ්‍රාම ගියපු වැඩ කරමින් ඉන්න විශාල අත්දැකීම් රාශියක් ගොනු කරගත්තු ඒ විෂයපතේට අදාළ ප්‍රඥා අත්දැකීම් වලින් පිරුණු සභාවක් තමයි අද මෙතන ඉන්නේ. සවුලු ගෙඩි ගානින් ගත්තොත් මෙතන සංඛ්‍යාවට වඩා ගුණාත්මක වශයෙන් දැනුම පැත්තෙන් අත්දැකීම් පැත්තෙන් ඒකේ තියෙන වටිනාකම ඒ එකතුව මෙතකේ කියලා නිම කරන්න පුළුවන් කමක් නැහැ. එහෙමනම් ජපානයේ දෙවන ලෝක යුද්ධයෙන් පස්සේ විනාශ වුණා කුඩා මිනිසා සහ තර මිනිසා කියන බෝම්බ ප්‍රහාරයන් එක්ක විනාශ වුණා නැගිට්ටා. චීනි මොලේ ඉඳන් නැගිට්ටා. අවුරුදු 30ක දිගු යුද්ධකින් පස්සේ වියට්නාමේ නැගිට්ටා. මේ තත්ත්වය ඇතුලේ අපේ රටට ඉතිහාසයේ දැවැන්තම සුනාමිය ගත්තොත් මොහොදු කරේට තමයි ඒක බලපෑවේ. ඒක ලොකු විනාශයක් තමයි. නමුත් මේක රටටම බලපාපු විනාශයක්. එවනම් මේ තත්ත්වය තුල අපේ රට නැවත තිබුණු තැනට ගන්න එක නෙමෙයි ඉන් ඔප්පට ඔසවා තබන එකේදී කෘෂිකාර්මික වශයෙන් රටේ ආහාර නිෂ්පාදන ක්‍රියාවලිය පැත්තෙන් අපිට තියෙනවා ලොකු අභියෝගයක්. ඒ අභියෝගය අපි ජය ගන්න ඕනි. ඒක අපිට ජය ගන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙමනම් අන්නේ සඳහා ඔබේ අත්දැකීම්, ඔබේ මඟ පෙන්වීම, ඔබේ දැනුම අත්‍යවශ්‍යම මොහොතක්. ඉතින් අන්නේත් එක්ක අපි ඒකාත්මික වෙමු. මේ සමුළුව මේ සභාව ඒ සඳහා අධිෂ්ඨානශීලීව පාවිච්චිට ගමුයි කියන කාරණාව මතු කරමින් මේ සමුළුවට මේ සභාවට අපගේ ගෞරවනීය සුභාසින්සන එකතු කරමින් මගේ අදහස් දැක්වීම අවසන් කරනවා. සියලු දෙනාටම බොහොමත්ම ස්තුතියි.
බොහොමත්ම ස්තුතියි ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යතුමනි. මීළඟට අප යමු වන්නේ අද දවසේ ප්‍රධාන අමුත්තා වෙත සවන් දීම සඳහායි. ඒ සඳහා මා ඉතාමත් ගෞරවයෙන් ඇරයුම් කරනවා කෘෂිකර්ම පශු සම්පත් ඉඩම් හා වාරි මාර්ග අමාත්‍යාංශයේ අමාත්‍යතුමන් ගරු කේ.ඩී. ලාල්කාන්ත මහත්මයාට මෙම ගෞරවනීය සභාව ආමන්ත්‍රණය සඳහා
ශ්‍රී ලංකා කෘෂිකර්ම ආයතනය හරිනේ වෘත්තීය සමිතියක් නෙමෙයි ආයතනයක් නේ ආයතනය තමුන්නාන්සලාගේ මූලික ශේෂය භෝග පශු සම්පත් වාරි මාර්ග සහ පොදු ජන කෘෂිකාර්මික ජීවිත පිළිබඳ කාරණා තමයි මම හිතන්නේ ගොඩාක් දුරට විෂයට අදාළ වෙන්නේ. අපි කඳු කරේ තේ වගාව අයින් කරන්න ඕනද නැද්ද? අපිට ඒ වගේ වට උත්තර ඕන දැන්. අඩි 5000න් ඉහළ අපි ඉන්නවද නැද්ද? වගා කරනවද නැද්ද? ඒ වගේන් අපි අයින් වෙනවද? ජාතික ආර්ථිකයේ දිහාත් බලලා කොහොමද අපි ඒවා ටික විද්‍යාත්මකව තාක්ෂණිකව කරගන්නේ? දැන් වාරි මාර්ග පැත්ත ගත්තොත් මහවැලි ගඟ ගත්තොත් දෙපැත්තෙම දැන් පදිංචි වෙනවා. දැන් කොහොමද අපි ඒක අවසන් කරගන්න. දැන් මෙතන දෙවන රාජසිංහ මාවතේ ගියොත් එහා පැත්තේ ගඟෙන් අනිත් පැත්තේ ඔක්කොම යට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. බිල්ඩින් ටික ඔක්කොම යට වෙලා තියෙනවා පේනවා. ඒක පේන්නේ මේ පාරෙන් මෙහා පැත්තෙන් ගියොත්. හොඳට පේනවා. ඒතර වාරි මාර්ගයේ විද්වත්තු මෙතන ඉන්නවා. මේ ශේෂ්ත්‍රයට සම්බන්ධ අපි වගේ අය ඉන්නවා. තවත් ගොඩාක් අය මේ රටේ හිටියා. හැබැයි ඒ අපි ඔක්කොම ඉද්දි මේවා මේ විදිහට සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙනවා. වැවෙත් පදිංචි වෙලා, වැව් තාවල්ලෙත් පදිංචි වෙලා, වැව් බන්ටකෙත් පදිංචි වෙලා, කන්ද මුදුනේත් පදිංචි වෙලා රටේ හැමතැනම අලිමංකඩෙත් පදිංචි වෙලා ඒ ඔක්කොම කලවම් වෙලා මේක දැන් ලොකු ව්‍යසනයක් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ ව්‍යසනේ එන්න කලින්ම මේ දැන් අපි මුණ දෙන ව්‍යසනයට කලින්ම මේක ව්‍යසනයක් තමයි. හැබැයි දැන් අපි අද මේ සභාව රැස් වෙන්නේ මම කල්පනා කරනවා වැදගත්ම අවස්ථාවක. වැදගත්ම අවස්ථාවක මම කියන්නේ මේක අද රැස් වෙන මේ මොහොත අපේ රටේ ඉතිහාසයේ වැදගත්ම අවස්ථාව. ඇලහර අමුණ ගලවගෙන ගිහිල්ලා මේ වාරි මාර්ගය පැත්තේ ගෑලා මේ කියන්නේ ඒක ලෝක උරුමයක් කියලා කියනවා. හැබැයි එහෙම් පිටින්ම ගිහිල්ලා දැන් ලෝක උරුමේ තියෙන තැන් වල ඒකේ ගල් තියෙනවා වැව් වල ඇලවේලි වල ඉඩම් වල තැන් වල තියෙනවා. දැන් සෝභාදාමෙන් පරණ පාරේ ගියා ගඟ. පරණ පාරේ ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා. රජුරෝ හරස් කරලා තිබ්බ තැන ඒ ලෝක උරුමේ කියන තැන ඒකම තමයි ගලවගෙන ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. හරි. දැන් ඒ වහේම යනකොට කවුරුත් මොකුත් ඒකට කියන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් අපිට මීමුරේ ඉන්න ජනතාවට කණ්ඩ බොණ්ඩ දෙන්න යන්න සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ ලෝක උරුමයක් උඩින්. නැත්තම් තව මාස එකමාරක් කණ්ඩ දෙන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ගුවන් මගින් හරි පයින් යන එහෙම මෙහෙම ගියොත්. දැන් අපි කියනවා ලෝක උරුමේ කියන කතාව පොඩ්ඩක් තියලා ඒ පරණ පාරක් තියෙනවා ඒකෙන් මේ ගමේ මිනිස්සු ටික ගිහිල්ලා බේරගමු කියලා. එතකොට ලෝක උරුමේ කට්ටිය සහ පරිසර සංවේදන අපිට කියනවා දිසාපතිතුමයි නුවර ලාල්කාන්ත ඇමතිතුමයි ලෝක උරුමයේ වනසන්න සූදානම්. එතකොට දැන් මිනිස්සු ටික බේර ගන්නවට වඩා දැන් ලෝක උරුමේ ලොකුයි. දැන් ඔයගේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. එතකොට අපේ වතු වැවිලි වගාව විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙන කඳුකරේ. විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක්. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි ගිහින් ඉඳුල් කරපු හැමතැනින්ම තමයි දැන් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ ඇති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. බොහෝ වෙලාවට ඉඳුල් නොකරපු තැන් දිහා බලන්න. මේ යපාරේ යන්නේනකොට ඉඳුල් නොකරපු තැන් දිහා බලන්න. හානිය අඩුයි. නැතිම තරම්. මම දැක්ක පරිසර වේදිනියක් කියලා තියෙනවා. මාස 6ක් යනකම් නායකගේ කිසිම තැනකට අත තියන්න එපා. තමාට කුෂිකාර්මික භූමි, වාරි මාර්ග භූමි, දැන් මේ මාර්ග පද්ධතිය ගන්නකො. එතුමියට අනුව අපි ගත්තොත් ගලගෙදර පාර තාමත් වහලා. නුවරට එන්න බෑ ඒ පාරෙන්. ඒ අත තියන්න බෑනේ. නාය ගිහිල්ලා. කඩු ගන්නාව තාම විවෘත කරගෙන නැහැ. අත තියන්න බෑ. නාය ගිහිල්ලා. නුවර ඉඳන් මයංගනේ 18 වංගුව පාර තාම වහලා තියන්න ඕන. අත තියන්න බෑ. මේෙන් ගම්පොළට යන්න බෑ. දැන් මන්ට ඩෑම් එකටම යනවා මං තව ටිකකින් යන්න බෑ. ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා නායකීය තැන් වලට මාස 6ක් යනකම් අත තියන්න යන්න එපා. එතකොට එහෙම ඒවා ප්‍රායෝගික නැහැ මොකක් හරි. එතකොට දැන් අපිට ඔබතුමන්ලා වගේ අය මේකට උත්තරයක් දෙන්න ඕන. දැන් අපි කියනවානේ අඩි 5000න් උඩ දැන් බහින්න ඕන පල්ලෙහාට කියලා. එතකොට දැන් මේවට විද්‍යාත්මක තාක්ෂණික උත්තර අරගෙන ඔබතුමාලගේ මතවාදයන් විදියට ඒවා ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්න ඕන. අපි කියමු ගමන් මේවා දේශපාලන කතා. ඒ නිසා දේශපාලන කතා වලට වඩා ඉදිරියට මේ මොහොතේ විද්වත් කතාව පැමිණිය යුතුයි. ඒකයි මම කිව්වේ අපි වැදගත් අවස්ථාවක ඉන්නේ කියලා. දේශපාලන කතානේ ගොඩක් රූපවාහිනිය ගත්තොත් ඔක්කොම තියෙන දේශපාලන කතා පල් හැලි ඕපදූප අරය කියපු වචනේ මෙයා කියපු වචනේ මේ මොහොත නෙමෙයි. එක channel එකක් බලලා වටිනාකමක් වැදගත්කමක් තියනවද කියලා බලන්නකෝ. දැන් මේ දැන් කතා කරන ටිකෙත් රැයට පුළුවන් නම් බලන්න යන්නේ මොනවද කියලා. ඒව වෙනම ප්‍රශ්න. මම කිව්වේ ඒකයි අපි අපේ රටේ අපි මේ ආපු ගමනේදී වැදගත් සම්දිස්ථානයක ඉන්නේ. එහෙම වැදගත් මොහොතක ඔබතුමාලා මේ රැස් වෙන්නේ. අද තාක්ෂණික පැත්තේ සාකච්ඡාවක් තමයි මම හිතන්නේ. තියෙන්නේ අපේ DG කුෂිකර්ම ඒ ගැන යම් අදහසකුත් කිව්වා. අපිට දෙන්න ඕන මේ රටේ වගා කරන්න ඕනේ මොනවාද? වගා කරන හැම එකම භෝග කියලා මට මාරඹේ මහත්තයා උගන්වලා තියෙනවා. ලාල් වගා කරන හැම එකක්ම භෝගයක්. ඒතො රබර් ගහත් භෝගයක්නේ. තේ පැලෙත් තේ ගහත් භෝගයක්. තව අපි කඳු කරේ වගා කරපු අර බාණ්ඩ අර උසට උසේ හැදෙන ගස් වර්ග අරම ඒ වගේ තියෙන හානිය. ඒවා පරිසරයට හොඳද? එක එක වලදී. හරි. සමහරු කියනවා අපි අහනවා මේ වර්ගයේ ගස් හදපු එක හරි නරකයි. දැන් ඒකෙන් මේ පස මෙහෙම වෙලා පොළව මෙහෙම වෙලා. ඔන්න ඔහොම දැන් අපි ඉන්නේ බරපතල තත්වයක. ඒ නිසා කුෂිකර්මාන්තයට අදාළව අපි ගත්තොත් කෑලි කරලානේ භෝග වලට අදාළව. පසු සම්පත් ශේෂ්ත්‍රයට අදාළව. අපේ වාරි මාර්ග ශේෂ්ත්‍රයට අදාළව. ගෝවි ජන ජීවිතය නගා සිටුවීමට අවශ්‍ය පැත්ත සියල්ල සැලකිල්ලට අරගෙන රටට දෙන්න හොඳ විද්වත් මතයක් වැඩපිළිවෙලක් අපි සූදානම් ඒක අරගෙන දුවන්න. එහෙම නැතුව දැන් අපේ රටට යන්න බෑ. දැන් මම පොඩි උදාහරණයක් කියලා ඉවර කරන්න. දැන් ඔන්න කුරුඳු වලට වෙනම දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවක් තියෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ කල්පනා කරනවා වවුනියා වෙයි තව මෙතෙක් කුරුඳු වවපු නැති ඒවා වවන්න. ඒ ආයතනය වෙනම ගත්තම ඒගොල්ලෝ එහෙම කල්පනා කරනවා. දැන් අපිට කවුරු හරි දෙන්න ඕන කොහෙන් හරි අනේ මෙතනින් එහාට නම් කුරුඳු වවන්න එන්න එපා කියලා. එහෙම වවන්න ගියොත් එහෙම අපිට ආහාර භෝග වලට භූමිය නැතුව යනවා. හැබැයි ඒ පැත්තෙන් ඒක හිතන ප්‍රමාණය අඩුයි කියලා මට දැනෙනවා. ඒක කුරුඳු සංවර්ධන දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවනේ. උදාහරණයකට මම මේ කිව්වේ. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා දැන් අපිට දෙන්න හොඳ මෙන්න මේ භෝග පසු සම්පත් වාරි මාර්ග සහ ගොවි ජන ජීවිතය අපේ ආහාර සුරක්ෂිතතාවය මේ කියන සියල්ල සලකලා අපිට දෙන්න හොඳ පැකේජ් එකක්. අපි දැන් මේ මොහොතේ කරමින් ඉන්නේ අර ඉක්මන් ක්ෂණිකව වෙන්න ඕන වැඩ ටික කරමින් ඉන්නේ. දැන් අද අපි උදේ ඉඳන් හිටියෙත් එහෙම වැඩසටහන. ඒ හැම එකක්ම ගැන හිතනකොට හිතෙනවා ඒව අපි කරාට මේක දැන් ජාතික වශයෙන් කොහොමද හරියට තැනකට ගන්නෙ කියලා. දැන් ඉඩම් හැමතින්ද මට එනවා දැන් මොනවාද ඔප්පු ඉල්ලන දිනපතා අත්සන්කරන ඒවා තියෙනවා. මට කල්පනා වෙනවා දැන් මේ ඔප්පුව දෙන එක ජාතික සලස්මකට අනුව ගැළපෙයිද? මේ පොඩි කෑලි චූටි කෑලි. සමහරවිට පර්චේස් 10 20 25 ඒ වගේ එනවා. ඒත් තාම එන එකට අස්සම් කරලා දෙනවා. මේ මොහොතේ මිනිස්යන්ගේ අවශ්‍යතාවය නිසා. එහෙම කරන්න වෙලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් අසන ගහනකොටම දැනෙනවා මේක දෙන එක අප්සෙට් මේක මහවැලිගක පොඩ්ඩක් කිට්ටුව වගේ තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඔන්න ඔහම සංකීර්ණ තත්වයක අපි ඉන්නේ. ආපු විදිහක් තියෙනවා. ඒ විදිහට තවදුරටත් කිසිම ශේෂ්ත්‍රයක් ඉස්සරහට යන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා අපිට ජාතික වශයෙන් වැදගත් තමුන්නාන්සලා වගේ විද්වත්තු විසින් මේ ශේෂ්ත්‍රය වලට අදාළව අපිට කට්ටිය ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා වෙන් වෙන්නේ නැතුව වාරි මාර්ග වෙනම භෝග වෙනම පශු සම්පත් වෙනම ජන ජීවිතේ වෙනම හිතන්නේ නැතුව දැන් අපේ අමාත්‍යාංශය හදලා තින්නේ ඔක්කොම බොහෝ දුරට ඒකාබද්ධ කරගෙන. ඒ නිසා සියලු දෙනා ඒකාබද්ධව මේ ආවරණය වෙන අපි කතා කරපු ශේෂ්ත්‍රයට අපිට දෙන්න හොඳ තාක්ෂණික විසඳුමක්. අපි ඒක අරගෙන දුවන්නම් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නම්. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් හැමෝම වැඩියත් වෙන්න කියලා ඉල්ලමින් මගේ වචන කීපය අවසන් කරනවා. මේ සමුළුවේ සභාවේ අද අපේක්ෂා කරන සියලුම කටයුතු හොඳින් සාර්ථක වෙන්න කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. බොහොම ස්තුතියි හැමෝටම ජය වේවා.
ස්තුතියි ගරු අමාත්‍යතුමනි ඔබතුමන්ගේ ඉතාමත් කාලීන වැදගත් අදහස් ගොන්න පළ කිරීම වෙනුවෙන්. So ladies and gentlemen, we are now move on to a significant highlight of today's program, the awarding of honorary fellowship of the Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture. To read the biography of the honorary fellow awarded at the 6th AGM, I cordially invite Professor S.P. Nishanka, Chairman of the Committee for Technical Forums and Technical Issues of SLIAg. Over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Roshan. Good evening, everyone. Honorable Deputy Minister, Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation, Mr. Namal Karadna, all distinguished invited panelists, members of the Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture, all invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and privilege for me to give a brief introduction about Dr. Patrick Nugavella and to nominate him to this elite group of honorary fellow of the Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture, whose contribution to his specialty of horticulture is unparalleled. I will first start with highlighting his academic and professional qualifications. So after the successful completion of the secondary education at the St. Anthony's College, Kandy, he entered the University of Peradeniya and graduated with bachelor's honors degree in economics and banking in 1972. Then he proceeded for postgraduate studies and completed PhD degree in development economics from the University of Social Sciences of Grenoble in France in 1977. After that, he earned several other professional qualifications, namely a diploma in business development sciences from Turin University in Italy 2001, and he also followed several certificate courses on value chain analysis and agribusiness and investment analysis from University of Wageningen, Netherlands, and also on project management from Belgium and Canada, and also several other courses from leading universities and institutes in Canada, mainly on consulting and contracting, conflict resolutions, effective management and leadership, new product development, training and markets, and writing for businesses and the professions. His professional career started as a senior research officer in economics of the Industrial Economics Division of the CISIR, now we call as ITI of Sri Lanka, and he served from 1972 to 1981. Then he served as the director of the Export Development Board of Sri Lanka from 1993 to 1997. Since early 1980s, he also started to serve as an expert in his subject specialty and held senior positions in several large multilateral and bilateral technical cooperation programs and conducted professional missions as a consultant, team leader, and senior technical advisor, mainly in IFAD, USID, UNIDO, UNDP, FAO, DFID, ITC, World Bank, and several USA and UK based consultancy organizations operated in many different countries in the Asian, African, and European regions, and also Caribbean islands. I noticed that he has already worked in more than 40 different countries in the world. He also served in several occasions as the mid and terminal project evaluator of many international programs. Though he has been working in many international organizations, he has contributed immensely at national level as well. As I already mentioned, he worked as the scientist at the ITI and also director at the Export Development Board, and also served as a board member of the CRI. He has also been conducting training courses for public and private sector officers on value chain analysis. More interestingly, he has been practically a true agriculturist. Currently, he is the managing director of his own multi-crop horticulture farm at Dambulla, which is called as Sitawaka Farm, and cultivating mainly fruits. He has served as the vice president and currently a board member of the Food and Vegetable Produce, Process and Export Association. Ladies and gentlemen, because of his very impressive contribution for over 40 years, his work has been recognized by many governments and organizations internationally and locally. He has received an honorary award of Chevalier d'Autreplam Academic, in 2002 from Government of France for the work done in the field of economics, development, and in the developing countries in Asia and Africa. Then he got another award, honorary award of Chevalier of National Order, Republic of Rwanda, for the service rendered to the development of country in the field of promotion of economic and rural development. Then an honorary award for excellences in professional achievement at the 150th anniversary of St. Anthony's College, Kandy, Sri Lanka in 2004. And he received several high professional organizations, recognition from high professional organizations, especially donors like USAID, UNDP, UNIDO, IFAD, and ITC, and from several governments for international technical expertise provided. He also received a special honorary award from Sri Lanka, which is the Desabhimani Lanka Putra Award. Ladies and gentlemen, without any reservation, he is an expert with a wealth of experience on value chain analysis, business development and services, and in the discipline of horticulture. He proved to be a solution-oriented thinker and trained team leader with strong work ethics. With this brief introduction, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Governing Council of the Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture, I proudly introduce Dr. Patrick Nugewala to be honored as a Fellow of the Sri Lankan Institute of Agriculture. Thank you.
Toward the honorary fellowship, it is my honor to invite the Honorable Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Livestock, Mr. Namal Karunaratne, and the President SLIAg, Dr. W.A.R.T. Vikramarchi, and Secretary SLIAg, Professor Pradeepa Silva. Thank you, sirs and madams. And we now reach the most anticipated segment of today's event, the panel discussion on the theme, Aftermath of Ditwa Cyclone, Managing the Crisis in the Agriculture Sector. The session will be moderated by Professor Buddhi Marambe, Senior Professor, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya. It is my honor to invite Professor Buddhi Marambe to commence the session. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. I came to the podium until the microphones reaches the seats so that I can use them at this particular moment. Nonari Mahadurni, ada විශේෂ අවස්ථාවක් අපි ඔක්කොම දන්නවා වගේ. ගරු අමාත්‍යතුමා කී පරිදි ශ්‍රී ලංකා කෘෂිකර්ම ආයතනයේ තාක්ෂණික දැනුම එකට කැටි කළා රටේ දියුණුවට දායක වෙන්න පුළුවන් කරන්න පුළුවන් අවස්ථාවක ආරම්භයක් අපිට දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා නොඅනුමානයි. ඒක ඉතා වැදගත් කාර්යයක් වෙනවා අපේ ඉදිරි ගමනේදී. සමස්ත ශ්‍රී ලංකා කෘෂිකර්ම ආයතනය ගත්තොත් ඉතා විශාල සමාජිකයන් සංඛ්‍යාවක් සිටින කෘෂිකර්මයේ සහ යදාළ ක්ෂේත්‍ර තුළ විවිධ දස්කම් පාපු විවිධ ශක්ති නැති ධාරිතාවන් තියෙන පුද්ගලයන්ගෙන් සම්බන්ධිත වූ ආයතනයක්. මේකයි නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යතුමනි අපිට පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා රජය විසින් ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙන මේ සුලි කුණාටුව හා බැඳුණු ආපදා තත්ත්වයන්ගෙන් මිදලා රට ඉදිරියට ගෙන යාමට අවශ්‍ය කරන ශක්තියයි ධෛර්යයයි තාක්ෂණික මට්ටමින් ලබා දීම සඳහා අපේ ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වය වැදගත් වෙන්නේ. ඒක තමයි මම හිතන්නේ ගරු අමාත්‍යතුමත් ඉල්ලා හිටියේ නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යතුමත් ඉල්ලා හිටියේ මෙම ආයතනයෙන් මේ අවශ්‍ය කරන සහයෝගය ලබා දෙන්න කියලා. What's going to happen today is a panel discussion. We usually have technical sessions with technical presentations. But the General Council of the Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture decided, rather than going to have a series of presentations, we'll bring in key people, administrators, who run the organizations which are mandatory or mandatorily functions, duties being assigned to make sure fields related to agriculture will be developed. So it's good to have them here to understand, to assess the situation in their own views, and then to make sure we propose solutions to the government of Sri Lanka so that they can be implemented. අපි අද මේ පැමිණ සිටින මොහොතේ අපි ආරාධනය කළා රටේ කෘෂිකර්මය හා අදාළ ක්ෂේත්‍රවල සම්බන්ධ ප්‍රධාන ආයතනවල ආයතන ප්‍රධානීන්. ඒක තමයි වැදගත් වෙන මොහොත. අපි ඔවුන්ව මෙතෙන්ට ගෙන්නලා ඔවුන්ව ප්‍රශ්න කිරීම නොව ඔවුන්ගෙන් අසා දැනගන්න උත්සාහ කරනවා. වර්තමානයේ මේ ditwa කුණාටුව හේතුවෙන් පැවතිලා තියෙන තත්ත්වය මොකද්ද? ඒ තත්ත්වයෙන් ගොඩේම සඳහා අපි මොන වගේ දායකත්වයක් දැක්විය යුතුද? ඒ දායකත්වයේ දැක්වීමට ප්‍රතිපත්තිමය පැත්තෙන් ගත්තොත් එහෙම මොන වගේ වෙනස්කම් අවශ්‍ය වෙනවායයි ඔවුන් සිතනවාද කියන කාරණේ තමයි අපිට වැදගත් වෙන්නේ. ඒ තුලින් අපිට විග්‍රහයකට විශ්ලේෂණයකට එන්න පුළුවන් වේවි. රජයට අවශ්‍ය කරන මොන වගේ ආයතනික ව්‍යුහයන් තුල ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගත යුතුද කියලා මේ ගැටලුවේ මේ පරපතල තත්වයෙන් අපි දකින්න විදියට ගොඩ එන්නට. අපි හොඳ ආකාරම දන්නවා ශ්‍රී ලාංකීය ජීවිත 800කට පමණ දිවි අහිමි කළා. ලක්ෂ 21ක් පමණ අවතැන් කළා తాවකාලිකව හෝ. නායම් 1200කට වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් ඇති කළා දවස් 3ක් වැනි කෙටි කාලයක් තුල. ඊයේත් නායමක් ඇති වෙන අපි හොඳටම දන්නා පරිදි බරපතල තත්ත්වයක්. එහෙම කරපු මේ දිත්වා සුලිකුණාටුව අද මේ පොළොව තලයේනුයි වාතලයේනුයි අතුරුදහන් වෙලා ගිහිල්ලා. ඒ විශාල ආපදාවක් මේ රටට ඇති කළා. නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යතුමනි මිත්‍රවරුනි මේ දිත්වා සුලිකුණාටුව එනකම් ශ්‍රී ලංකාව සුලිකුණාටු 13කට මුහුණ දීලා තියෙනවා. අවසන් සුලිකුණාටු ආවේ 2000 වසරේ. ඒ සුලිකුණාටු 13ම රට හරහා ගින් තියෙන්නේ. බස්නාහිර සිට නැගෙනහිරට. ඔබතුමාට මතක ඇති 1978 වාලච්චේනේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම බිමට සමතලා කරමින් හමාගෙන ගිය සුලිසුලඟ. ඒක තමයි දැනට ශ්‍රී ලංකාව මුහුණ පාලා තියෙන බරපතලම දරුණුම සුලිසුලන් තත්ත්වය. සුලගේ වේගය අනුව ගත්තට පස්සේ. එයින් පස්සේ තමයි අපිට මේ නොවැම්බර් මාසේ 27 වෙනිදා ඉඳන් දිවයිනේ දකුණු පළාතෙන් ඇවිල්ලා ගිනි කොන සිට උතුරට රටේ දික් අතට ප්‍රථම වතාවට ගමන් කරපු සෙමෙන් ගමන් කරපු එක තැනක කැරකි වැඩි වේලාවක් ඉඳලා ආපදාවේ දරුණුකම වඩා තීව්‍ර වෙන විදියට ගමන් කරපු සුලිකුණාටුවක අත්දැකීම අපිට විඳ ගන්නට පුළුවන් වුණේ. ඒකේ ප්‍රතිඵලය තමයි මම අර කලින් කිව්වේ. කරු නියෝජ්‍ය මහත්මෝනි හැම දෙයකම මිලක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ ජීවිත 800ට මිලක් දාන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ කවම කවරදාක්වත්. They are lost completely. Losses are gone. But all the damages are reparable. We can repair them. ඒක තමයි අපි හැමතිස්සෙම හානි ආපදා දීපල හානි වුණාම ඒවට මිලක් නියම කරන්න ඒවා නැවත නගා සිටවන්න. අපි ජීවිතවලට මිලක් නියම දාන්න හැමතිස්සෙම නැවත නගා සිටවන්න උන් ආපදා තත්ත්වයට පත් වෙලා තියෙන හින්දානේ නැතුන්ගේ ජීවිත අහිමි වෙච්ච හින්දානේ. ඔන්න ඕන් තත්ත්වයක තමයි අපි අද සිටින්නේ. ඉතින් මේකේ ඉදිරියට කොයි ආකාරයකට මේ ආපදා තත්ත්වෙන් අපි ගොඩ එන්නද ඕනේ කියන එකට අවශ්‍ය කරන ඒ සම්පත්දායකත්වය ලබා දෙන්න ඒ සම්පත්දායකින් 4 දෙනාව මේ පුටු වලට කැඳවන්න තමයි මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. මම මේ පුටු වලට කැඳවනකොට පළවන සම්පත්දායකයා පුළුවන් තරම් මෙතෙන්ට මේ මගේ දැන් හිටගෙන ඉන්න තැනට ආසන්න පුටුවේ වාඩි වෙන්න. මොකද එහා පුටුව හදලා තියෙන මට. අර කොනේ පුටුව. කින්ද ඒකේ වාඩි වෙන්න යන්නේ නැතුව ඉන්න. ටයිට් මම පළමු කොටම ඕකේ. මට කියනවා මෙතන ඉන්නද ඒක වඩා හොඳයි. පෝඩියම් එකේ ඉඳන් කතා කරනකොට අර ඔක්කොම රූපවාහිනී නාලිකාවලට හොඳට ඈත් වෙලාම ආවා. මේකට ගැප් වෙලා ඒකට දිස් වෙලා යාවිම ආවා. හොඳයි. මම පළමුවට ආරාධනය කරනවා පළවෙනි සම්පත්දායකයා. Ladies and gentlemen, the first resource person whom we are going to invite is our own president of Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture. But he is not here as the president of Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture. But I am inviting him as a Director General of Agriculture, Dr. Tushara Wickramaratche. Please give a big round of applause. Colleagues, we invited Director General of Department of Animal Production and Health. But as informed by Dr. Tushara Wickramaratche during his welcome speech, the Director of Animal Production and Health had to be in Colombo attending a SAC meeting. And the Director DG has sent the additional Director General to sit on this panel and to respond to the most important issues that we face right now. So let me now invite the additional Director General of Department of Animal Production and Health, Dr. Sanjika Pereira. Please welcome Dr. Sanjika Pereira. We also invited the Director General of Department of Irrigation. As informed to us, the DG is also in the field, looking after the reparable work that is being carried out by people of his own entity to make sure all the damages that have happened to irrigation structures will be made repaired as soon as possible. So they have been kind enough to send us the director designs of Central Province Department of Irrigation. Let me kindly invite now Engineer Karanga Batavada to take her seat. Agrarian development is something that we cannot miss. No matter what we do here, the livelihood of people will definitely have to be safeguarded and upgraded. Sometimes they may have to start from square one, we never know. සමහරක් වෙලාවට එකේ ඉඳලා පටන් ගන්න වෙනවා ඇති තමන්ගේ ජීවිකාව. මේ විච්ච ව්‍යසනයෙන් පස්සේ ඒකින්ද අපිට ගොවි ජන සංවර්ධනය, ගොවි ජනතාවගේ සංවර්ධනය අපිට අමතක කරන්න බෑ. So we invited the Commissioner General of Department of Agrarian Development, and let me kindly invite Mr. Damnika Ranatunga to take his seat. හොඳයි අපිට එක මයික් එකයි මෙතන තියෙන්නේ. ඒකෙන් තමයි මට මේ මෙතන රැඳී ඉන්න කියලා කිව්වේ. මම කැමතියි පළවෙනි මයික් එක අපේ කෘෂිකාර්ම අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජනරාල්තුමා අතට පැමිණෙනවා නම්. අපි මේ සාකච්ඡා වටේ මෙහෙවන්නේ වෙනස් ආකාරයකට. අපි රවුන්ඩ් තුනක් වට තුනක් යනවා ප්‍රශ්න වලින්. මේ ප්‍රශ්න ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ මේක සමායෝජනය කරන මා විසින්. ඒවා බොහොම කෙටි ප්‍රශ්න. හැබැයි ඍජු ප්‍රශ්න. ඒවා ප්‍රශ්න කිව්වට කවුරුත් අමාරු දාන හදන ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙවෙයි. නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරණි අපිට ඕන කරන්නේ පිළිතුරු විසඳුම් ශනික වගේම දීර්ඝ කාලිනව යන දේවල්. අපි කැමති ආයතන ප්‍රධානීන්ගෙන් මේක අහලා දැනගන්න. ඊළඟට වට තුනට පස්සේ අපි ඔබතුමාලාට අවස්ථාවක් දෙනවා ඔවුන්ගෙන් අදහස් විමසන්න. හැබැයි අපි කිසි කෙනෙකුට නැගිටලා වාචිකව අදහස් විමසන්න ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ඒවන් තව කතාවල් වෙන්න පුළුවන් හින්දා. ඒකින්ද ඔබතුමාලාට ලැබෙවි යම්කිසි කුඩා පත්‍රිකාවක්. ඒ පත්‍රිකාවේ ලියලා කරුණාකර මාවෙත යොමු කරන්න. මම මේ ප්‍රශ්නය මිතුමියන්ට අපි යොමු කරන්නම්. මොකද ඒකෙන් අපිට ලේසි නැත්නම් වෙන්නේ හැම එක්කෙනාම කතාව පවත්වන විදිහට යාවි හුඟක් වෙලාවට පවතින ව්‍යසන තත්වයේ උඩ තමන්ගේ අත්දැකීම් විස්තර කරන්න. ඒකින්ද තමන්ට දැනගත යුතු විශේෂිත දෑ කරුණාකරලා ලියලා අපිට එවන්නේ අදාළ කරන පත්‍රිකාව ලැබුණට පස්සේ. හොඳයි. මම දැන් පළමු වටේ සඳහා යොමු වෙනවා. කෘෂිකර්ම අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජනරාල්තුමනි.
අනිසමාවෙන්න මේ හොඳම වෙලාවේ මට මෙතන ඉඳ නොහැකි වීම පිළිබඳව බලවත් ලෙස කනගාටු වෙනවා. දාගෙන තියෙන වැඩසටහන් එක්ක මම මෙතනින් නික්ම යන්න ඕනේ. මට සමාවෙන්න. හරි ආසයි මේ අන්තිම මොහොතේ ඉඳ තිබුණා නම් මට යන්න අවසර දෙන්න. බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
හොඳයි අපි නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යතුමාගේ නික්යාමත් සමගම අපි මේ පළවන ප්‍රශ්න වටය ආරම්භ කරන්නයි සූදානම. මේ හැම සම්පත්දායකයෙකුටම එක පොදු ප්‍රශ්නයක් යොමු වෙන්නේ. හැබැයි මේ පොදු ප්‍රශ්නය තුළ තමන්ගේ විෂය පතය ගැබ්ව තියෙනවා හැමතිස්සෙම. ඒකින්ද මම මේ අහන ප්‍රශ්නයට සම්පත්දායකයන් මම කාර්මිකව ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා විනාඩි 4ක් ඇතුළත පිළිතුරු දෙන්න කියලා. මොකද කාලය කළමනාකරණය කිරීම අවශ්‍ය වෙන හින්දා. පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නය ආචාර්ය තුෂාර වික්‍රමාචි මම ඔබට යොමු කරන්නේ. ඔබ ආහාර භෝග සම්බන්ධව රාජ්‍ය දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ ප්‍රධාන වගකිව යුත්තා අපේ මේ ආහාර භෝග සංවර්ධනය සහ ආහාර සුරක්ෂිතතාවය කියන සංකල්පය තුළ ආහාරවල සුලභතාවයට වක් කියන මේ දිත්වා කුණාටුවෙන් ඇතිවෙච්ච හානිය ඔබේ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව කෘෂිකර්ම දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව මේ අවස්ථාවේදී හානියේ ප්‍රමාණය බලපෑම කොයි ආකාරයෙන් දකින්නේ ඔබට අවස්ථාව.
Thank you. So much actually now we are after the post-disaster situation. Now we have looked back what kind of damage caused to us. Actually, we understood that the cyclone caused multi-layered disruptions in our agriculture, especially crop-based agriculture. We can categorize this impact into mainly three categories. That is, one thing is the infrastructure, second is the livelihood of farmers, the other thing is what are our systems affected. We have a fully functional network of systems, but many of our systems affected. One thing actually, what are the crop damages? That is under the infrastructure crop damages. Then we lost, it is nearly 120,000 hectares, which is 129,000 hectares of the different crop varieties, including rice is nearly 100,000, then maize nearly 10,000, then other oils is 7,000 hectares, and vegetables, low country vegetables 2,500, then 3,500 country vegetables. Altogether it is total like 130,000 hectares is fully affected due to this cyclone and the associated flood. Then our systems like our facilities, we had seed storage facilities, some kind of other fertilizer storages, then our office, then near this beside our this Maharada River, many. Normally 7 units have been affected fully or partially affected. Then special things today also we discuss soil. Even in certain places, most of the topsoil has been eroded. Now this bedrock has been exposed. Now it is a real issue for us to bring them into the cultivation again. There is also one the challenge for ahead us. Then coming to the economic and livelihood. Then loss of income. Farmers, most of our farmers lost their income. Their livelihood is the farming. Then government came forward to provide the kind of the financial support for this one. There is a big relief for them, but still it is a temporary one. Then we have to bring them back to the cultivation and encourage them cultivation. Then the price volatility, that is, you have seen that temporary increase of our food commodities, rocket up prices to certain level, then that also affected our agriculture farmers as well as consumers, both are affected. Then it is due to the kind of the infrastructure, that is the road network is blocked in certain areas, actually 500 kilometers of the rural roads that is governed by the Pradesh Sabha and other small, the regional bodies have been affected. Then come to the systems, actually seed and other input supply has been affected. Seed today also we discussed how we can assure the quality seeds, but then we have to go beyond little bit quality, but quantity we have to supply immediately for paddy and other crops. Then we have discussed this one with the government agencies as well as other agencies to assure the free availability of seeds. These are the few of the disasters and impact on the crop agriculture.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tushara Vikramachi. Nearly 129,000 of food crop produced areas are in trouble, damaged due to Ditwa cyclone, and that is the message that we have. What recovery measures to be taken? How is going to be effective? Let's talk about those things in the second round. This panel discussion, we have given the total freedom to the panelists to decide on the language that they present. They can use bilingual, be bilingual, and use one single language as well. But from now on, I will ask the question in English, but definitely with you. I mean, there's nothing wrong in speaking our own mother tongue, isn't it? We'll give you that permission and allow that to happen. Dr. Sanjika Pereira, being the Additional Director General of Department of Animal Production and Health, I'm sure your department would have also assessed the impact of Ditwa cyclone. And likewise, what Dr. Tushara Vikramachi said as the Director General of Agriculture. Over to you. Would like to know from you what impact has been there.
Thank you very much, Professor Manabe. Thank you very much for inviting me for this press release. It's really honor, especially for the department. We are really badly hit. You know, we were dysfunctional for some up to today. We are still struggling to come to terms with the flood and cyclone situation. department, so we are paralyzed. We in the sense of the livestock damage, we experience some 35,000 cattle deaths and buffalo and cattle farms 2,200 damaged completely. And of goat and sheep farms, we lost 16,000 animals and some 700 farms lost. Swine, we lost somewhere around 2,000 animals, some 300 farms were lost. So we are very much concerned about poultry sector because that's a demanding sector in the country, in the market. The people are very prone to eat chicken and eggs. We have the broiler and egg industry. In broiler industry, we have breeder farms. We lost some 50,000 broiler breeders out of 1.4 million ones. Layer, we usually have 1,500, 150,000 layers, the breeder layers. We lost some 16,000. When you take about the commercial farms, we lost 500,000 layer birds. Estimated loss of village chicken is 2,700. Broilers, 250,000 birds. So, totally 13,000 village farms were affected, poultry sector. So there is, if you think about the intensity, the damage is around 10 to 15%. So we hope that broiler sector will catch up in nearly 3 months, but it will take some 6 months to for the layer sector to come into the normalcy. Milk production and milk collection network, as given detailed by the major companies, they said that 30 to 40% of milk is lost. Now they are facing trouble, to come into the factory, the processing plants. And that is the present situation. We hope with the infrastructure development and general life coming into normalcy, we will catch up with the normal production. But the thing is, we lost the progress. We may come into normalcy, but what we expect is to 5 to 10% growth in 2026. But I think it's completely lost. So we will have to start from the scratch in the sense of development. So there is we will further explain things in the coming sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanchika Perera. The situation is pathetic. The head office of the Department of Animal Production and Health was totally affected. So they are struggling hard to start work at the head office, unlike in the case of Department of Agriculture. As Dr. Sanchika Perera said, 35,000 cattle, dairy animals have gone for a 6. No more. 500,000 of layer birds, as you said, and broiler about 250,000. And we can just imagine the level at which the protein malnutrition is going to hit Sri Lanka very soon. May not be in a drastic level, but at least at the temporary level. Something that we have to ponder, something that we have to keep in mind. We'll come to those points later, Dr. Sanchika Perera. Engineer Taranga Batagoda, Department of Irrigation, what was at the receiving end for many activities related to Ditwa cyclone. What I want to know from you, Dr. Batagoda, that how the Department of Irrigation has assessed the overall impact with respect to irrigation systems and other irrigation infrastructure. Over to you, madam.
Thank you. Actually, as the key organization of providing irrigation water is agriculture. During past weeks, we have faced many challenges to protect our irrigation reservoirs. Mainly the irrigation reservoirs. We have to fight with that flood, and But we hope that fortunately we are lucky to save protect our main irrigation dam. But some of the irrigation tanks get damaged and structures also damaged. As central government irrigation, we have totally 266 tanks and also 375 irrigation schemes with the irrigable area of 821,000 acres. From that, 82 tanks were damaged and about 33 acres were damaged and 476 canal structures were damaged. Actually, this is tentative quantity. But these damaged tanks, I mean, these tanks we just cut off to protect the tank. We cut to the downstream and then areas, actually the canal structures, most of the canals were damaged mainly due to the landslides. Actually in that area, most of the canals have damage due to the landslides. And also some of them due to the erosion of river banks, some of the area also get damaged. But we have to protect them. Mainly that due to the Anuradhapura area, there are 102 tanks. From that, actually not damage, we have to cut over that to protect the area. Those are the things that damage in the irrigation sector.
Thank you very much, Dr. Engineer Tharanga Bhattagoda. The numbers are huge when you look at the overall structure, and Anuradhapura alone, as you mentioned right now, I mean, the effort that you have made to safeguard the interest of the structures, which is important for future irrigation as well as the water availability for human and animal consumption, becomes crucial. Thank you very much for giving us that impact. Agrarian development. Mr. Dhammika Ranathuka, we are glad that you are here. I mean, you are looking at the overall development of the agrarian community of the country. Now, we heard what the crop department, animal department, and the irrigation department, how they came up with their own assessments. You must be having a different overall picture with respect to the agrarian community. How do you see the impact?
Thank you, Professor. And first, I would like to thank the Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to express my views. Actually, my assessment about the impact, total impact to the farming community is that this is very severe, widespread, and long-lasting. Why I say that, as DG Agriculture mentioned, there is a very serious crop damage. Now, you know, we have just started the Maha season, which is very important for the food security of the country, and also that is very important for the income of the farmers, because that is the main cultivation season. As we have up to now identified about 100,000 hectares of paddy lands have been damaged. So we expected to cultivate about 800,000 hectares of paddy in the Maha season, but we still do not know how many lands we can recultivate out of those damaged lands. But by the end of this week, we will know exact figures, because at the moment we are getting information from paddy farmers, getting the applications to pay the compensation announced by the government. So with that, we will be able to give more accurate and exact figures about the damage. But anyway, there is a serious crop damage, and this crop damage translates to a significant loss of income to farmers. So there is a serious economic loss as well. And also, there is a serious damage to our mine irrigation system, which is governed by our department. According to the current information, about 982 tanks, about 835 anicuts, and about 2,511 canals have been damaged, and about 197 tanks have been totally damaged. So that will take time to rehabilitate. Although we are trying our best to recultivate, this will also serve as a minus point, because we have in those areas we have to somehow provide water, but with this damage to our mine irrigation system, that also becomes a serious challenge. And also when we consider about the farming community, this is not very because every year we experience crop damage and that kind of incidents, but this is a very serious situation because in some areas people have lost everything, lost their houses, lost their family members, lost their properties, children have lost their education materials, so whole system has collapsed. So in some areas it is very difficult, although we are trying our best to get them back to lands, get them back to paddy cultivation. In some areas this is not possible due to some other reasons. So therefore we can say this is a very severe and long-lasting impact to the farming community.
Thank you for explaining that, Mr. Dhammikaranattunga. I'm sure you see, colleagues, that the situation is very complex. It's not just a straight line, y equal mx plus c. You can fit a line like that. It's not going to work. So there's a lot of other things that have to come into picture. That's why we all have to take decisions collectively, at least to support taking collective decisions, but based on evidence. If you don't go by evidence-based decisions, we'll be creating other calamities, for example, in addition to what we have experienced right now. I'm coming back to Director General of Agriculture, but to add to that, to what Mr. Dhammikaranattunga said today morning, when the rice sector workshop was held, the director of Mahaweli Authority of Sri Lanka was saying, in 1,511 hectares of Mahaweli paddy fields, what you see is the hard pan. In many other cases, we see their sand and soil got deposited. But they say in 1,511 hectares, you see the hard pan. Everything else is gone. And you don't even think of going and doing cultivation this cultivating season. So damage has gone up to that extent, something that we have to be cognizant of, the level of efforts, if it develop the effect. Dr. Tushara Wickramachi, as the Director General, you explained to us about the impact. Now, in the same capacity, I would like to know from you, as Department of Agriculture, what are the significant or key interventions that you will have in response to this crisis situation? Over to you. You have 3 minutes to answer.
Yes, actually, in response to this disaster, we have activated the 3-phase that is emergency plan. One is the short term, that is the quick the assessment and relief package for the farmers. It includes actually in the history that is the most value relief package has been given to the farmers. Second is rehabilitation recovery, that is the medium term within 6 months, and also we have resilient building, that is a long term plan. Because we have given a very short period of time, it is less than 3 weeks for us to activate this immediate relief and assessment. We got previously, that is the rough estimates, then later on we fine-tune our estimates, and later on we are now is in the process of the dispersing funds to our farmers based on their damage. Then the actually for this input supply, we have already discussed with all the input supply agencies, state as well as private industry, how best we can provide these inputs into the needy places. Then also we have discussed with the other development partners and funding agents like COPIA, FAO, JICA to provide the relief package for the affected farmers. And also now we have asked private industry to quickly make available the agriculture inputs, and we are facilitating from the ROP level as well as the SCS, SCPPC level to provide the regulatory the facilitation for them to import the agriculture inputs as soon as possible. And also this rehabilitation, as you correctly mentioned, that hardpan has been exposed now. It is we have given a 6-month period to renovate this type of soils to bring for the cultivation. Then we have appointed a committee, actually the comprising of all the experts and extension people, so that they will give the recommendations how fast we can bring this soil into the cultivable states. And also one other thing, actually, now the resilient building, now we have the plan of the technology, integration of technology to face this type of disasters in future, because we have to align these things with the disaster management, risk management. That is, we have to redefine our the activities in order to face this type of the disasters.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vikramachi. It's good to see you are trying to get hold of all the technical expertise together with other stakeholders in finding solutions to the problems that we face. Dr. Sanjika Perera, you created a very disastrous situation a little while ago when you gave the numbers. What are the key interventions that you have as the Department of Animal Production and Health to remedy the situation to the best possible extent? Over to you. You have 3 minutes.
As you in the Department of Agriculture, our implementing arm, where the people work, is the place, the provincial department of animal production here. So, being the head office, that we need to, give them the clear instructions how to cope up with the situation immediately. So first thing is, the most of these cattle or any other animal who has not died, they're suffering from a kind of a disease, especially pneumonic conditions, diarrhea conditions, malnutrition. So we advise them to go to these farms, first take the measure of the damage caused and examine the animals and give the treatment wherever possible. And we ask them to use their own money. If not, we also have some kind of backup money, because we haven't used all the project money in this year. So we have disbursed some money to provinces. So first thing is to do the treatments. The second thing is if usually after this kind of a calamity you experience the contagious disease like FMD, LSD, HS. So we have enough vaccine storage at the central department to disperse whenever there is an outbreak. We want them to control it. We have no trust in the vaccines stored in the regional veterinary offices, because the power cuts were there for some 3 or 5 days. So we have the backup. The other most important thing is the feeding. Usually when there is a heavy rain, the free ranging cattle do not have much to eat. Usually because the tanks are filled and the paddy cultivation season begins, so they are virtually starving at that time. This time it was severe. As we are informed, in Northern province, some 60,000 acres of grazing land is submerged in water. Now the cattle can't graze. They are spoiled and so they, especially the Northern province, asks us to provide them with cattle feed. So that costs a lot of money, but we disperse some money for these cattle to, get the energy back. So we are planning that thing. And we also want them to, still the rain is going on without the cyclone and floods. They have to have shelter because most of the animals have lost their shelter. So we ask them to, put up small shelters where they can, house their animals. And the other one is the major issue we faced was the disposal of the carcasses. So that is a major issue because the MOH, Ministry of Health, has a great concern that they think that this will, contaminate the groundwater levels. So we gave them advice not to, bury these animals in places where the groundwater is, quite high. I don't know what is happening in the farms, but they have to get rid of the carcasses very quickly. So they must have, dig up in their own lands and, bed these animals. So that is resolved. We also want them to get the assistance of local government authorities to do it. So other thing is, next thing is that we are going to face some disease situations, contagious disease as well as some parasitic diseases, diarrhea conditions. So we want to sanitize all these farms quickly. So for that thing also, we want the provincial departments to, give us their requirements that we can disperse some money to, acquire these sanitations. So this is what we are doing as a measure to combat the present crisis situation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Sanjika Perra. One thing we can be happy of, what you said, provincial departments are the implementing agencies.
Yes, sure.
But you also have a financial backing for them to support based on the money that you have saved or being left over with certain project activities. So that's something positive in this overall affair, rather than trying to extract money from the treasury and then to give it to producer. I'm not trying to say you are well off, right? Don't worry. I'm not trying to say you are well off.
So the debt is so much that we estimate it into billions of rupees.
Quite right. At least you are trying to do.
The government can't afford.
You are trying to give some support in this. Thank you very much for that. Engineer Taranga Vatugoda, the same situation. You're talking about that damages to irrigation infrastructure, despite the efforts that you have made to safeguard the interest of the irrigation systems. What are the key interventions that you have? By the way, you also said the landslides have destroyed certain anicuts, canals and so on that has affected the irrigation as well. Over to you.
Yes. Actually, I think that main thing is to give the safe place first to these affected farmers. Then make their mind peaceful. Then after that, this is Mahasina season. Most of the farmers don't like to give up their paddy fields and go away. So they, however, they are living from, depending on this cultivation. So as irrigation department, first we have to repair those structures temporarily. Now also we are trying our best to repair those structures with the help of army forces and also the farm organizations and also different volunteers. First thing is to repair those structures. And the other thing is most of the paddy fields are getting silted up. Then before replanting, we have to do the desilting or removing those silt areas. Another thing is we have to do the restoration of canals and mainly the reservoirs. In most of the tanks we cut open. Now also we are repairing those things temporarily using the jumbo bags, sand bags like that. Most of them are repairing now. And other thing is we have to, during these days also rain also come in, we have to monitor again the river water levels and release water strategically. And also as a long-term measures, now we have to design again these structures to withstand these type of extreme weather conditions. And also during that flood time, we faces many problems regarding the warning system. That is because of due to the power failure. We couldn't give the messages to the rural area that we have to think about that. It should be a user-friendly manner. Otherwise, we won't be able to protect the areas. Other thing is, now also we are doing that. We have to develop that risk map. That means inundation area maps. According to the rainfall topography like that, we have to develop inundation maps. Then according to that rainfall law topography of that area, we can decide if this type of rainfall are coming, then this area may be get inundated. That should be, we have to keep it as maps in our offices. Now also we are doing 22 river basins. We are developing these risk maps. We have to run the model. During that flood time, we are not able to run those models due to power failure like that. That's why I told that different rainfall pattern, we have to prepare those maps and keep it. Then we can get an idea about that. Those are the things I think.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Bhattagoda, Engineer Bhattagoda. Today morning, when Dr. Lakmini Priyantha, the Director of the Rice Research and Development Institute, presented us a situation where farming community in Bhattalagoda using mamatis to remove sand from their paddy fields. Massive cost, massive time being consumed because there's lack of machinery and so on to use that. So the issue is, are we allowing that to happen continuously to get the paddy fields back to revival in terms of recultivation, for example? So big questions are there in front of us. As you quite correctly said, we have to sort out those problems to go ahead. Mr. Dhammika Ranatunga, there's a similar question because you explained to us the complexity of the situation when it comes to agrarian community and the impact of Titra cyclone. What are the interventions that you propose from your department?
Yeah, at the moment, our interventions are mainly in two areas. First intervention is to assess the damage and help the farmers to obtain the relief package announced by the government. Now our officers are already in the field, they collect information, they help farmers to fill up those applications, and then we feed them into our system and we try to pay their compensation. We don't call it as a compensation, but it is an allowance given by the government. We try to speed up this process and pay the allowance to affected farmers within a very short period. That is our main intervention at the moment. Our second intervention is to rehabilitate the affected mine irrigation system, which is very important to provide water during the Maha season. But as I told, there are serious damages and minor damages and very small damages. We try to prioritize and rehabilitate the tanks which have minor and not very serious damages, so that we can use those tanks and anicuts to provide water during the Maha season. But some rehabilitation work will take more than 6 months, 7 months, then we have to put them to the second phase. So our technical officers and engineers are preparing estimates at the moment, and we got some estimates, and we already provided some funds to start rehabilitation work, and there are some minor damages which can be sorted out immediately without much funds and without much effort, and we have already addressed that kind of issues. But other issues we are trying to provide necessary funds and other necessary supplies to rehabilitate those mine irrigation system immediately. Those are the two main interventions we have involved right now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dhammika Ranatunga. It's clear you are looking at short term and long term to make sure the system stability will have to be there at the end, isn't it? My last round of questions will be on policy measures. Dr. Tushara Vikramarchi, you spoke about the damage, the level of impact, and the interventions that you want to make, and of course what you have planned. But definitely you will need policy support, policy changes, because you have to look into the whole food system rather than just looking at an activity as a whole, isn't it, sir? So I just want to know from you what level of policy changes that you think should be there to strengthen the food system of Sri Lanka during this disastrous situation. Over to you.
Yes, actually, that is the most important part of this the discussion actually. Now the agriculture systems, food systems are reactive rather than resilient. Then we have to integrate resilience into the food system, because now in Sri Lanka we have no regulatory mechanisms to control farmers towards the agriculture. That is a loss. But we should have a policy initiatives to make our food system resilient. At least 10% of our varieties should be resilient or adaptability for the climate change, because we can regulate this one through the varieties, because our scientists are day to day working towards the integration of different type of traits into our varieties. These are resistant to the biotic and abiotic stresses. But once variety is released, but we don't have a mechanism to promote that variety within our fields. That is one of the major drawback in our system. Therefore, we should have very good policy systems through ministry level, department level, make it mandatory that 10% of our varieties grown in soil should be resilient to this one. That is, we can do it. Actually, second thing is our seed system is centralized. Therefore, that is why we are making too much challenge of distributing seeds. But other countries like Bangladesh, they have the farmer community-based seed system. But now we are helpless. Now our SPMDC is trying best to how mobilize seeds and ask companies to mobilize seeds. The second thing is the actually flood and drought management. Then we should have a policy initiatives for the flood and drought management. This we have a Soil Conservation Act. It is not fully enforced by our side. Act is there, but we are not going to enforce forcefully or with that. And it will be covered only the part of the Sri Lanka, but it has to be revised so that we can have a kind of the very good act and regulations to control the agricultural the land productivity, land usage and everything. Then actually risk, minimizing risk, because most of our farmers are individually working. Individual farmers are more liable to risk. But we have now policy initiatives, it is government initiatives for the producer group. They will have the producer group, it is mandatory now. Then that is a farming community, they together can resist for this type of the disasters. And we can do the many things. Actually last, that is the data. We have been blackguarded too much regarding the anomalies in data from different institutions. Therefore, we should have a good policy initiatives. Already we have started through the topics, as well as we have integrated with the different institutions through API. Now we are getting the data very promptly so that we can make the decision. But thing is the grassroots level, who is there to collect the data, but it is also very big question mark. Then government having the policy decision now, having the volunteer agriculture facilitator. Then volunteer agriculture facilitator will be connected with our Krupani as well as AI and other agriculture related officers, and they are trying to mobilize in the villages and provide the data information in a very prompt manner towards it will come to our central place, that may be the ministry department and the interministerial and interdepartmental activity. These are the few of the policy initiatives in order to minimize the impact of this type of
Thank you very much, Dr. Vikramachi, because you have certain very important interventions in the pipeline. To get all those things on ground, you need this policy support coming in so that you can move ahead. Dr. Sanjay Kapara, the same question to you. I mean, what sort of policy changes that you think is required to strengthen the food system, looking at the animal component?
Okay. First thing I would like to emphasize is whether there's a cyclonic period or floods, whatever, if we don't have a land use plan in place, the livestock sector will not last long. You know, as a country, I think we are the 140th large country or the smallest country. But our road network, if you think about the road network, we are at the 49th level. Road density, somewhere around 30-35. So that means even a small country, we have a huge network of roads. That is because we have houses all the places. So we have, used our land for transportation for people, not for the economic activity. So this should be a stop now. Otherwise, I don't think that we can talk about livestock sector, especially in areas like Western Province. They are gone now. So number one needs to have a clear-cut land policy. It's beyond the control of Ministry of Agriculture. It should come from the above. Policy-wise, what we think is most important thing is to look at how the breeding policy operates. So we are confined to a small number of animals, breeds. So we need to get down some resilient breed who can withstand drought as well as floods. That's one thing. The other one is when it comes to bring down a plant variety, you people give so much trouble. It's really difficult for us to get down any kind of plant, but you have to be bit flexible, because we need some plants, the fodder varieties, grass varieties that can be that can survive under submerged conditions up to 1 week or something. So that will help the growth of the sector. The other thing is, as we know that financing, to obtain credit for a farmer is one of the, especially for the livestock farm, is one of the most difficult thing in this country. If you are a cattle farmer, sympathetically they will consider, but if you are a poultry farmer or a pig farmer, they think that he is going to do the bad business, so he should not, disperse money. So that kind of a mentality prevails in the financial sector. So we have experienced that thing in last outbreak of African swine fever. The people who has lost the whole income, they have never been able to access to any credit. So that policy should be changed, because when you lost your cash flow, you have been doing a good business, but all of a sudden your livestock is gone and you lost the cash flow. and you are in the crib and nobody is going to finance you. So that kind of a policy should be, changed. That is the main thing. I don't come into maize importation. We think as a livestock sector, it should be more liberal. I understand the Department of Agriculture concerns about the people who cultivate maize, but every time what you forecast when it is not in the ground, livestock sector, face troubles. So we don't need to argue here about that thing, but that somehow then we have to change these things also. So these are the key policy changes that we expect, to do, or if the government to do, to revive the livestock sector again, because we ask the government to, disperse some lands for the livestock farmers, because 83% of the land in Sri Lanka is controlled by the government. So if a investor or entrepreneur wants some land, it's really difficult to obtain it. So without, a policy that you have to, give this land to private sector, private people to come up with their business, these kind of policies should be in place if we want to see some kind of a development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjika Perra. Those are important. There are cross-cutting issues, as you quite correctly pointed out. Certain things would have been done much earlier, not to be waited until such a disaster has taken place, right? Thank you for coming up with those things. Well, Engineer Taranga Batagoda, I was looking at your question, it's the same question, to see that you also pointed out certain interventions that to be done, definitely by the Department of Irrigation. What sort of policy changes that you think should be there to support your activity, strengthen your activity in this regard?
Yes, I think actually as the key policy changes, that it is first needed to expedite the crop and property loss compensation should be given to the farmers and should give them to live in safer places. And also for the farmers it is needed to have access to the market, and for that it is needed to need the repair infrastructures. That means that roads, water supply and all that we have to repair them. And also for the farmers it is needed to provide seeds, fertilizers and also the necessary tools and also the loan schemes. During this time it is better to give a loan. And as a medium-term policy, I think we have to adopt different irrigation method like drip irrigation, polytunnels, and also flood-resistant crop varieties. It should be adopted. And also it is better to have early warning system with the coordination of district level, and at least we have to give that SMS alert in local languages. It is better. And also it is better to give the community the training regarding that flood situation like that. Other thing is slope stabilization methods to adopt these hilly areas. It should be urgently to be adopted. These are the policy changes I can explain.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, the interesting thing happened just last evening at a discussion. You were talking about early warning systems, and it was diverged that even the tsunami sirens are not working now. So that's gone. The sirens are placed, they are not working right now. And I saw on a news clip where one of the engineers in Kotmale was telling the president that they had the first siren before the water was released from Kotmale. President asked from that engineer, how long it took for you to release water after the siren? The engineer said 10 minutes. So with massive water coming from Kotmale, in just 10 minutes time and just flooding Gampala and Peradini University and so on was something that is true that what you said, ma'am, the real early warning system should be in place. I was just mentioning of what happened and what was divulged just yesterday. Mr. Dhammika, you always brought in the complex combinations because you are talking about agrarian, combination of all these activities. What do you think about the policy changes that you require to make sure your proposals are in place?
Yes, but first I must tell that government has already taken two very important and commendable policy decisions. One is the announcement of this very generous relief package, because as I mentioned, this is not an ordinary damage, ordinary situation. So we have to address this kind of situation with a different approach. Government has already taken that step because this is a very generous relief package. That is one. Then number two is the government already appointed the Commissioner General of Essential Services. It is also a very important policy decision because he has special powers to work beyond normal government situation, normal government rules and regulations. So those two policy decisions are very important, but at the same time, we have to take some more supplementary policy decisions to address this kind of situation. One is, I think now other members have also mentioned certain things, but I think one is we have to think about our data policy, because we talk a lot about data, but still we do not share our data among agencies, and data collection issues are there. And we also talk a lot about digitalization. It is a major policy of this government, but still there are a lot of bottlenecks to implement digitalization policy. We have to look at those things. And also we have to address some limitations in the system. There are a lot of system limitations, but in this kind of situation, we cannot work to address these issues with those system limitations. For example, now I have to rehabilitate mine irrigation system, rehabilitate about 1,000 tanks, but under normal situation, I have to follow government procurement procedures and this kind of actions. Now, under government procurement procedures, we have to give 21 days for contractors to apply. But then we are trying to provide water for Maha season. So then we have to change our approach, and also there are a lot of limitations to recruit people, hire people. But sometimes we need extra people. Sometimes our workforce alone cannot handle this kind of situation. So then there should be some flexibility for government organizations to work beyond the normal limitations. That's what I think.
Thank you very much. The last part, what you said, the internal inefficiency components, I think those are the things that we have to rectify first before even thinking of new policy changes or new policies being implemented. Well, colleagues, that's the end of the 3 rounds that I have planned. And I have a large number of questions coming from you. They are like assignments in some cases for all these people in front of me, but I will do my best to ask the questions in the simple language. The first question goes to Dr. Tushara Wickramaratne, and I hope the mic is with you, right? So the question is that you mentioned about the damage done for paddy fields, for maize, for other food crops and so on. You gave a ballpark figure of 129,000 hectares altogether. The question is about the protected agriculture. Polytunnels, greenhouses, rain shelters, inclusively. Is there any information, Dr. Wickramaratne, about the losses for those structures in this country?
Actually, from beginning, we thought about this protected house sector also. But because of our officers were very busy with the other activities, then we got little bit delay of getting this
Okay.
type of information.
So that assessment is being done
assessment
right
is
now.
being done now.
Okay.
Actually, government also has considered to pay some kind of the compensation for crop.
Yeah.
One way, second way for the structure.
Yeah,
Both.
and I do understand the situation. The follow-up question is, don't you think that protected agriculture will be one of the best options for the
Yes,
current
yes.
situation?
Yeah, we feel that actually that is one of the best, but protected agriculture having a kind of the pluses and minuses whenever it will go to the wrong place, wrong structure in the wrong place. The right structure should go to the right place. There is a huge challenges in this type of things. But our protected houses covers nearly 400 to 500 hectares, so that the production from protected houses may not be much significant to cater this type of disaster situation. But it's still, we feel that that is a kind of the good option for us to work on.
Thank you. Another question to you before I move on to the other members. You gave us certain statistics about different crops, the fields being damaged. The question is that, will this damage lead to a food insecurity situation in 2026?
No, we feel that actually government is much more concerned about the food security, because there is one dedicated committee, the Parliament Committee on the Food Security and Policy Initiatives. That committee will summon every 2 weeks, but now thoroughly discuss about but fortunately our agriculture fields have not been damaged as we thought very beginning. Therefore, and also we feel that certain fields will flourish well and give the good yield. Then, but whenever the production is low, then in order to meet the demand, the government is having a policy to import certain kind of things, not all, but to the alternatives for the cater the food security.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Taranga Batagoda, you have a question here. The question is, now don't we have calculations done, say for example, on one day 300 millimeter of rain, on the second day 400 millimeters of rain, on the third day 500 roughly, and that's the way it went on, right, starting from 27 November. Is there a mechanism to calculate the water volumes that are coming as inflows to the reservoirs in a situation like this? So that's the question.
Yes, we have already calculated for all the reservoirs. We have area capacity curves and also inflow. According to that, water balance studies are carried out. According to that, outflows are calculated. That's why we are managing the reservoirs.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the question now comes because of this automatic opening of the Kotmale reservoir and so on. That's why I think probably the question has come, because it was not reflected in such a situation, most likely. This question belongs to anyone of this audience, right? So what strategies can one member take it up? What strategies can we use to encourage private sector engaged in this system in a reviving situation like this? And what type of inputs would you like to expect from them, private sector? Any member? Dr. Vikramachi, yes.
Really good question, but we also feel that private sector should come forward whenever this type of disaster. Then private sector in Sri Lanka is giving the inputs, but still the farmers who have been using their input should be protected by there should be a kind of the initiative from the private sector also. That has to be kind of the social the initiatives from the private sector. That is my feeling. Then we can have a negotiations, discussion with the private sector. Whenever your seed has been grown somebody, then damage has occurred, then what is the private sector's responsibility to react on this matter? That is one way of we can inculcate that type of the things in our farming community. And also there are many private industry who is willing to invest on the R&D, because now there are few companies having the very strong R&D sector. Therefore, we feel that much more private industry come forward to R&D, then it will be a kind of the competitions, fair competition for the government sector as well as private sector.
Thank you very much. This is a comment, but comment directs to you, Dr. Vikramaraj. You don't need to answer. It's a comment. What he says is, because you are the responsible authority in implementing Soil Conservation Act in this country, need to take additional measures to implement Soil Conservation Act. It is highly important to regulate soil with more strict rules and regulations. I think that's well taken, a comment which you seriously take into consideration in the future. About precautionary measures, maybe both Dr. Sandika and Engineer Batagoda can respond. The issue is that disasters can strike at any given time. But the point that is raised is, are we technically strong enough to avoid major damages like this if it gets repeated? Suppose the situation gets repeated in months' time. Are we technically strong to withstand or resist the situation right now?
I think currently no, because we are still, developing plans to, counteract or mitigate if this kind of a disaster struck again. I think it's a long-term plan, but we are also having. Currently, we are thinking of options like, as is the early warning systems, the responsiveness, and the mitigation of the systems. And second thing is, we would like to see the farms are relocated, away from the river basins. At the same time, give the rivers their legitimate space to flow. So so the third one is to, as I mentioned, need to develop the breeds, the feed, and the people who are knowledgeable in the climate actions, or the climate smart people who knows about the magnitude of the destruction that can be caused by this kind of a disaster. So then these empowered people will, in the future will look after the farming systems. So we need the university curriculums, the diploma curriculums, and from the early days in the school curriculums to have this kind of, education incorporate into their systems. So that is what I feel as a long-term strategy, how we should, control or contain this kind of a disaster.
Thank you. Dr. Bhattacharya, would you like to add to that?
Yes, actually, as he said, it is necessary to include those things in their school curricula and also in the universities, and they have to practically adapt them to practically think about those things.
So hopefully the next disaster will strike in 100 years' time. So we are prepared to do that, definitely. I'm coming to Mr. Dhammika Ranatunga. I'm keeping few questions for you to ask from you later, but this question is not directly to, can be for anyone. Land use policy is something that people speak a lot nowadays. Even Dr. Sanjika was talking about land use policy. So the question is that, what is the way to get it done quickly? We do understand that there's a need for land use policy. Anyone in the resource pool would like to comment on this? If there's a land use policy to come up, what is the quickest way to go ahead?
Actually, that is the matter of concern, that because we have, it is related to the previous question also, but we are in 50-50, 50 years, 50 no. But thing is, we have a kind of the technology, we have scientists, we have done so many things, but It is materialization, and implementation is the kind of the question mark, because we have a climate vulnerability map. That is in a beautiful colors, but we have not integrated this one into our cropping plan. That is a big question mark. Then people are doing isolations. They are the science products map are there in their laboratories, but these are not integrated together to have a kind of the land use policy plan. That is the main, because Dr. Punyavardhana and co-authors have made this map very beautifully. It is having the red colors in the northeast area. These are the area fully flooded. Then we have to have a kind of the pre-preparations in every season, assuming that something will come. That is we have to have.
Thank you very much. There's a comment. Yes, go ahead.
So the thing is, when you think about the land use plan, the present situation in chaos. So how you go about, cleaning this? For me, the biggest problem is our culture. When you have a house, your cropland is there, your cattle is adjacent, and you work in the paddy that is also in your village. So how you possibly relocate these people into somewhere else? So that is the biggest challenge I think we are facing. So if you can come up with a good solution to that, for me, the one thing is you have to create more job opportunities in the cities if you want to relocate these people. So 35% of agriculture population is too much for any country. I think it should be going down to up to 5%, if I am correct, I don't know. So these people should have, access to industries and other services sector. Otherwise, you can't have this kind of a land use policy.
Mr. Namikaranathan, would you like to comment on that, about the land use policy? I mean, there's a need, no argument at all, but how best we can get it done quickly?
Actually now there are several stakeholders. That is also an issue to resolve this immediately, because there is land use planning department, land commissioners department, department of agriculture. Then we have some powers with regard to paddy lands. So there are so many stakeholders. But I think one good thing is now almost all agencies are coming under one ministry right now. So that is a good beginning, I think, because if we can take a ministry level policy decision, then we'll be able to speed up the process.
Thank you very much. There's a comment with respect to, we're talking about the width of the rivers, right? Mahawali Ganga, Gange Palla Penwa Atha. මොකද කියන්න තියෙන්නේ මේක දැක්කට පස්සේ. ඒතර මේක කියනවා මහවැලි ගඟ අවශ්‍යතාවයන්ට අනුව එහි සීමාවන් ලකුණු කර පෙන්වා දී ඇත. මේක හොඳ අවස්ථාවක් කියලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ගඟේ සීමාවන් වලට යටත්ව ඉදිරි සංවර්ධන කටයුතු කෙරෙන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් දැන්ට තියෙන දේවල් ටිකත් ගිලා බහින එක වළක්වා ගන්න බැරි වේවි. So that's something that we have to keep in mind. There are many questions in this, but I will ask only the first question. The first question goes to Dr. Vikramarchi. Simple. Question is straightforward to you. Can we stop cultivation about 5,000 feet?
Actually, it is not necessarily, because now I talked to the Dr. Chandrapala, who is the director of NRMC. Then I actually asked what is the impact of this one. Actually, this impact is not directly relevant to the inhabitants. That is something else. Therefore, we have to study properly what are the places we can cultivate, what are the elevations we should not go beyond that. That has to be actually deep the study plus recommendations afterwards.
Thank you very much. And the recommendations come, for example, Dr. Vikramarchi, why don't you think of agroforestry, trying to stabilize the banks and so on? Those are some things that we have to consider in the future. These days, people get this fear psychosis when even a marginal rain comes in. So the question is, interestingly, will we have more rainwater in upcountry and mid-country? Will we have more rainfall, for example, very soon in the upcountry and mid-country?
I couldn't answer.
Will we have more rainfall in the near future in the upcountry and mid-country?
That's
Okay, I don't think
that's
we are
the
done.
nature.
And the best answer I can give you is that most recent analysis says the wetter part of this country is going to get wetter, drier parts of this country is going to get drier. That's a climate analysis that has been done. I think that would speak a lot when it comes to the overall scenario. So please keep that in mind. Livestock sector, the direct question on the livestock sector. And I think Dr. Vikramachi, you will also have to join answering this. It's livestock sector feed requirement with respect to maize. So what is the forecast this time?
Yes.
Because the livestock sector requires about 650,000 metric tons of maize.
Actually, we targeted 100,000 hectares. We end up with the 90,000 hectares, but lost is 10,000. Still, but we cannot go for the recultivation. But little bit the tonnage will be affected. But we would have in a good yield this time, because we have a very strong program on ground.
Thank you very much. Again, this question goes to you, Dr. Vikramachi. You said about 129 to 130,000 hectares of land being affected. If you are going to recultivate all these, for example, out of this 130,000, what is the extent that you opt, or in other words, that you think that we can bring back to recultivation?
Yes, that is also a good question, but this has been seriously discussed in the various forum. But 130,000 have been affected, but we are not would be able to bring them back to cultivation, because some of the lands have the severely damaged. It will take more time to restore them. Therefore, we feel that 10 to 20% cannot be grown in this season out of this. 10 to 20.
10 to 20%. Yeah. So we simply move out 10 to 20% from our cultivation. That's what you say. Okay, right. Thank you very much. Well, DG Agriculture, once again to you. How do we ensure fair prices for the producers and consumers in a situation like this? Fair prices. We saw chili going from 800 rupees to 3,000 rupees on November 30th, 4,000 rupees on December 1st, coming back to 3,000 on 2nd December, and then down to 1,000 rupees on 4th. That's in Colombo.
No, actually that is true, because we have with regards to vegetable, we have two peaks in the retail and the wholesale price, 2 peaks. But thing is now for the OFCs, government has intervened on the OFC and the maize, rice prices, they have given the minimum price for them. Therefore, government also having the plan for the purchasing these things, at least 10% of the production, so that it will encourage the open market to settle down the price. That is there, but vegetable actually, in future we have now it is been improved. Now our supply chain are being improving. Then in future there will be not that much issue. If government initially thought to bring the frozen vegetables, but later on the government and we thought that it is not required at this level, because the damage was not up to that much extent.
Right. Mr. Dhammikaranattunga, I think I want you to respond to this in a very concise manner. I'm not going to read everything, because it's look at there's a kind of political motive also in this. So without telling everything, let me ask from you, if you look at the overall efforts done by the government, at what level that the efforts made by the government will succeed according to the plan?
Yeah, I think so, because now we have already got reports that large number of farmers are ready to recultivate in the Maha season. And there is an enthusiasm from farmers' side to go back to the land and recultivate. And also our officers are also working very hard. Now, I think now the Department of Agriculture is very active these days because they have a new responsibility to provide this relief package to vegetable farmers, OFC farmers and maize farmers. Now we are also working hard to give this relief package to paddy farmers. So government mechanism is also very active, and we are working hard, and farmer community is also active to engage in farming because they know that they are going to get something from the government to rebuild their lives, and therefore I think now there is a sort of concession from all parties to work hard and rebuild. Therefore I think most of the efforts will be very successful.
Thank you very much. This is the number of questions answered by the panelists. This is the number of questions that they have to answer. And GC points out to me saying that we have to stop the discussion right now, no matter how good it's going to be. But I simply cannot ignore this question, which is in front of me. It's probably because the Minister of Agriculture raised this question. The question is, vegetatively propagated tea, in that the soil erosion is less than 1 ton per year. That's what the person who posed the question says. It is much less than Singaraja forest. That's what the person says. Are we to recommend to remove tea? Who is going to answer to that? So answer will be in store. So I'll keep it in store, locked, and anybody can break the lock and find the answer. So thank you very much, colleagues, for being with us today. It's a very important session, as I see. Certain questions, I do understand, cannot be answered very quickly in a straightforward manner because the situation is complex. Even though the problem is simple, the solutions will always be complex. So that's something that we have to understand here. We have to work together. Whatever the government, there's a plan to move ahead. We have to support, give the technical inputs wherever possible way, because we have to live in this country, isn't it? In order to live in this country, we have to make sure the progress will be there in an adequate and a favorable level. So thank you very much, Dr. Tushara Wickramaratne, Dr. Sanjika Pereira, Dr. Batagoda, and Mr. Dhammika Ranatunga for being with us, representing their organization. That's the most important part, and providing you very valuable resources, thoughts, to make sure that we also make a plan as Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture based on the outcomes and outputs that we had, and present it in a very concise manner to the government of Sri Lanka, paving the ways for the government to move ahead in this revival program. So from me, I'm signing off. Thank you very much for your patience hearing.
Thank you very much, Sir and Madam. That's indeed an insightful and productive discussion we have just witnessed. So I now call upon Dr. W.A.R.T. Wickramaratne, the President of SLIAg, to present the tokens of appreciation to the panelists of today's discussion. First, I would like to invite Engineer Mrs. Taranga Batagoda, Director of Irrigation, Department of Irrigation, Kandy. So I would like to invite Secretary SLIAg, Professor Pradeep Silva also to join the presentation. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Dhammika Ranatunga, Commissioner General, Department of Agrarian Development, to accept the token of appreciation. Next, I would like to call upon Dr. Sanjika Pereira, Additional Director General, Department of Animal Production and Health. Thank you, sir, madam. And I would like to invite Professor Barana Jayawardena, Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, to hand over the token of appreciation to Dr. W.A.R.T. Wickramaarachchi, the Director General of Agriculture. Thank you very much. So before concluding the technical session of the 6th Annual General Meeting of SLIAg, I will now call upon Professor Pradeepa Silva, the General Secretary of SLIAg and Senior Professor, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Roshan. Actually, I will make it as short as possible. I saw some agitation because the rain started falling in the audience. So, good afternoon from me again, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed with great pleasure I am standing before you to deliver this vote of thanks after a very productive session and very insightful discussion. First and foremost, even though they are not here, it is my duty to thank with a deep appreciation to recognize the presence of our chief guest, Honorable Minister and the Deputy Minister, and taking their time to grace this occasion. And also on behalf of SLIAg, I thank them for their continued support to the agriculture sector. Then I pay my gratitude to the panelists today, the 4 panelists, Dr. Tushara Wickramaarachchi, even though he is our own president, he presented his presence here is as the Director General of Agriculture, and Dr. Sanjika Pereira from Department of Animal Production and Health, and Engineer Tharanga Watagoda from Department of Irrigation, and Mr. Dhammika Ranatunga for taking their time off and coming over and give a very productive, contributing to very productive and insightful discussion. So your expertise and the perspectives greatly elevated the quality of today's dialogue. I am equally grateful to the moderator, Professor Buddhima Arambe, for conducting the session in a professional manner. And also my sincere thanks go to the Governing Council members and also all the invitees for your unwavering dedication in organizing, for your contribution in this evening. I also wish to thank the members of SLIAg and all the others who present and their participation in the discussion session, and also making this evening a very meaningful gathering. A special note of appreciation goes to Director and the team of the Plant Genetic Resource Center, and also the NAICC for their strong collaboration and hospitality. And at a time of when the country faces many challenges, the success of this event is a testament to the generosity of many well-wishers. So I warmly acknowledge all those who contribute, big or small, to make this program possible and also successful. So give me your permission to mention few names who are the main donors of this event. Sri Lanka Council for Agriculture Research and Policy, SLCAP, Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, CIC Agribusiness, John Piper International Private Limited, Haley's Agriculture, Japan Holdings Private Limited, and Harcross Chemical Private Limited. Finally, thank you for being here and for supporting our collective mission. I sincerely hope our efforts continue to strengthen the future of agriculture in Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the conclusion of the technical session of the 6th Annual General Meeting of the Sri Lanka Institute of Agriculture. On behalf of the organizing committee, It is my pleasure to invite all of you for tea, which will be served outside the auditorium. And all SLIAg members are kindly invited together in this auditorium at 5 p.m. for the business session of the AGM. Distinguished guests, invitees, participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your participation and the contribution. Thank you.